Hey everybody, welcome back for some movie times. This time last time I had a video about this. Me and my brother talked some DC with Aquaman, and how I thought that was way better than it looked like it was going to be.
I will agree with that statement.
It wasn't great, but it had fun. It had heart. Today we're talking with Captain Marvel. Or talking about Captain Marvel. I'm talking about it with my best friends in the whole wide room, Jared from Ninja Mafia Entertainment.
It's been a while since
It has been a while since you have posted anything. And
been going through some tough times.
My friend Bryce, who I don't think, well, yeah, you did the Castlevania review with me.
Yeah, I popped in before.
You popped in before. So we watched Captain Marvel. I guess let's go ahead and give non-spoilery opinions. My voice sounds like crap right now. I've got some sinus issues, and it's really fucking with my throat.
I'll give it a 6
let's
flaming fist out of 10.
You want to give some more elaboration on that? Because
I think the movie is not bad by any means in and of itself. And a lot of this stems from the fact that this is, I don't know, the 15th origin movie we've had from Marvel Studios.
Something like that. It's been a few.
And the formula is still the same by and large.
Yeah.
There's not much in that area that I feel like Marvel can or is going to do that is going to surprise us. So,
well, that's kind of one of my big problems with this. Problems in quote, because this movie is perfectly serviceable enough. If you've already seen the vast majority of the Marvel movies, I don't think this one's gonna make or break you at any point.
The same point with that, if you've seen most of the other Marvel origins, you've pretty much seen this movie.
Pretty much, yeah. That being said, I am sorry that I called Doctor Strange the most boringest Marvel superhero ever. Because he is officially not.
It's not the fact that Captain Marvel's a boring superhero. It's they could have gone so much further. There's been like 5 Captain Marvels, and Carol Danvers is like the last one.
Right.
If they had done this as like a Miss Marvel movie, it could have been better.
Yeah, but that would sound chauvinistic to call her Miss Marvel.
Or if they had
plus it would screw up plans if they did a Kamala Khan movie later down the road.
Or if they hadn't even, like, God, they massively...
The way I feel about this, I think this movie could have had a lot more potential to do more if it had come out at a different point in the timeline. I feel like with where that they put this as literally the last movie before Endgame, there's not much that they could have... They couldn't have stuck off the path because they have to get to Endgame. Okay. So there's no wows they can give us, really.
See, that's kind of my thing, too, is because, like, she's supposed to be this big character in Endgame. They even put her in the last scene, well, not her, but that's who Nick Fury called in the last scene in Infinity War. It's like, this was the ace up his sleeve.
Pause real quick, I gotta check something.
So that was Nick Fury's ace up his sleeve.
Yes.
Her. And, I mean... Sure, when she, like, finally went ham and did what she did. I'm not going to spoil it yet.
Yeah, no spoilers just yet.
But, I mean, I can see the level of power she has compared to, like, by far compared to the others. She is probably the most powerful.
I kind of draw an issue with that because you almost enter the Superman problem at that point.
Well, it's also entering that problem, like, there was so much shit going on, and it took that for you to call her. Like, I would have figured he would have called her at New York.
A giant portal in the sky opening and aliens spewing out.
I would have called my trump card way before somebody snapped and ended half of reality.
Yeah. I would have at least liked to have seen a callback to like that, even if it would have been, trying not to get spoiler here, but in a credit scene of like, where you been all this time? Because I'm assuming that's what they're going to do as a sequel, is like, we're still not going to be getting current content from this character other than Endgame, because Her sequel will more likely be still before all this.
Yeah, I think she was definitely
just...
placed wrong, movie-wise, wrong lineup.
Like, this should have been... Like, we could have still had this movie at this time, and it not affected the timeline at all.
No, but you don't understand. We weren't ready for a female superhero until now.
Wonder Woman came out over a year ago.
We've had Black Widow since fucking Iron Man 2.
All she does is punch.
So?
She's barren wound. She can't be a hero.
We've had Scarlet...
By her own admission.
We've had Scarlet Witch since Avengers 2.
Well, okay. Well, let's go ahead and I guess steer out of non-spoilery stuff, since like everybody's kind of given their own personal opinions. I personally would say, unless you're in this for the long haul, just you can skip this movie wholeheartedly. It doesn't teach you anything you'll need to know.
Like, nothing is gained from this whatsoever.
Yeah,
You
the entire
figure
message
out how
is Captain
Fury
Marvel's
lost
going to
his
be
eye.
in.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, the one thing I didn't need to know about Nick Fury is the one thing they choose to explain.
Yeah, and it's the...
It was nice to see Coulson.
It's like oh god, we need to talk about Coulson here in a minute. But it's kind of like in Metal Gear Solid 4, where they are not 4, but 5, where they go through and the entire plot is to explain how Big Boss is both in Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2. And it's like, I didn't need to know this! So, there you go. If you don't want spoilers, that's the review. Thanks for tuning in. For those of you who have seen and wish some spoilers, or don't care about them, they start in 3, 2, 1.
The movie opens with Thanos dying. That's just to troll the people that didn't turn off in time.
Yeah, Captain Marvel actually shoves her fist right through his head. It was really graphic, and I'm surprised that there were children in the theater. No, I thought this was a boring movie. I thought Miss Marvel was a boring character, and I'm very sorry because she didn't need to be.
I felt like I was watching a Dragon Ball Z movie.
Like the lamest of the Dragon Ball Z movies, like Bio Broly levels of lame.
It was the Dragon Ball Evolution bad.
What about the movie did we like? Because I did like, I can't remember his name now, but he played Gandalf in the new Harry Potter movies.
What? Gandalf? You mean Dumbledore?
Yeah,
Are you talking about Jude Law, dude?
Yeah, I like Jude Law.
You completely fucked up your shit there.
I hated Jude Law because I knew he was the bad guy from like scene 2.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing that got me is that that's the biggest thing that got me is that the Skrulls have always been bad.
Well, okay. Here's problem number 1. The bad guys are very binary. Like, there are no shades of gray. Like, the Skrulls are bad guys. But so are the Kree.
Marvel goblins.
But because nobody can think beyond one bad guy, the Skrulls have to be good guys now. And so we have this problem where if you want to use the Skrulls as bad guys, you have to invent a new convoluted reason for the Skrulls to be bad guys when they were just refugees.
Also, Marvel fucked up by getting the one guy who is the generic villain in everything right now. I can't think of his name. Yeah. He was Ready Player like basically the past 2 years. He's the villain.
He is basically reprising his role as Grand Admiral Krennic from Rogue One.
Yeah, and he's Sorrento in Ready Player One.
Sorrento in Ready Player One. He's basically that guy. He's boardroom bad guy number 57.
Corporate bad guy, yeah.
He was
even the bad guy. He has an Australian accent.
He was even the bad guy in fucking Robin Hood. Like, he's the bad guy in every movie right now.
Yeah, they're on a tear for that.
It's like, man, you got typecast at the wrong time to get typecast in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Because it's like...
what's her name who played Marvel? I can't remember her name right now. It was good to see her back again. I haven't seen her in a movie in forever.
I'm trying to think of a name, but
I'm on a blank here.
Yeah, no, I've had medication coursing through my system, so I have that excuse. Let's see, what else? Sam Jackson was a joy, but that's because it's Samuel Jackson. I mean,
I was about to say,
come on.
I do like that they played with the eye thing for a while of like, oh, is it gonna happen? Oh, it didn't happen.
I didn't need that, and I sat there, I was just like, fuck you. Go forward.
That was the most lame way to take his fucking eye, though. That was so fucking
You
stupid.
are right. Goddamn, do we got to talk about Coulson?
Oh God, the de-aging effect looked great for Sam Jackson.
I guess they moved him
except for when he was moving. Then he looked like he was a 70-year-old man having to run around set. Yeah, he looked like he looked like a 70-year-old man running around set.
He constantly looked like he just got knocked on his ass and was doing like, stand back up.
Agent Coulson, however, looked like Conan O'Brien from a PS2 video game. It was horrifying.
And he didn't really move or have him like. He was like,
no. It was terrifying. I was just like, Jesus fuck.
I think
why?
Greg Clark just wanted to be back in the movies. He's like, yeah, I'll do it.
Probably.
Sign me up.
And they didn't really de-age him that much, other than
my show's ending.
No, they could have gotten away with it.
So like, I don't understand why we had to have that, because like the change wasn't that significant.
You got to justify that budget somehow.
He wasn't even in the movie that much.
No, he wasn't.
Like what?
Like
three
three
scenes?
Yeah, something
roughly.
like that. Something like that.
It was nice to see a Blockbuster video.
Yeah, they still exist out there somewhere. So let's go ahead and jump into the plot then.
Dude, I will have to say something though. The part about this movie that got me is Jesus Christ, the beginning of it, where it was the intro and it was all Stan Lee. That got me.
Yeah, that was a nice little touch.
I was like, oh my God, like that hit me in the feels.
Kind of wish we had that for like Jack Kirby or Steve Ditko or something like that, maybe. I don't know. I'm just saying it wasn't all Stan Lee. I love the man as much as everybody else, but
that one, man, that got me though.
Anyway, so the movie opens with Carol having a nightmare about her past, and she then wakes up and goes to train with Jude Law.
In a very was I the one getting a lot of sexual undertones between those two? Like,
well, that's kind of my
that's multiple sexual undertones.
One of my problems with this movie is Carol Danvers doesn't change. Like, she is the exact same person beginning to end, despite the fact that she's supposed to go through this character arc where she becomes a better, more human person. Like, I never thought I'd ever say this, but Star Trek Discovery actually had a better character arc with fucking Michael Burnham. And I hate Michael Burnham as a character. I think she's awful. But you actually go and see her become more approachable and more rounded as a person than fucking Brie Larson does in this movie.
Well, with her, it wasn't really, her character didn't change. She just got her memories, most of her memories.
Which would change a person.
Right. Well, you'd figure, but no, she's just as talkative and flirty with her commander as she is in the end.
Like our references, that's another thing to talk about. You compared it to Dragon Ball Z. She's basically like Goku.
She's very inflammable because I like Goku.
But not much is
Goku
going
has
to emotionally affect him.
That's fine, but Goku has a personality. I couldn't tell you what Captain Marvel's personality is besides woman who fights. If you guys can help me out, I'll take it.
Lady Cop. That was about Lady Space Cop.
Lady Space Cop. There's Red Letter Media's next movie, Lady Space Cop.
It did seem, for character development, I think the placing of this movie was off, and I get they needed to show how powerful she was, but that was like the only really big scene is when she broke her own limits and accessed her powers.
God, how lame was that?
Also,
she just burns out the memory core, and that's how she becomes more powerful. It's like, fuck you.
Am I the one that missed the conversion of when did they make her a Kree?
They didn't. It's when
they found her and she was losing blood, and Jude Law gave her some of his blood, and that's.
Does that just make you a Kree?
She's a Kree human hybrid.
Is Kree an STD or is it a? Because that sounds more like an STD.
Technically,
it's a bloodborne pathogen.
Technically, she got the powers and everything when the thing exploded and the energy.
I'm
went
talking about
into
the
her.
powers in her being a Kree are different.
Let's go ahead and discuss that a little bit, because very closely tied to this movie is...
See, in the comic, she's not Kree. She just has powers because, like, she stood in front of a blast and, like, Mar-Vell's energy went into her.
Let's go ahead and talk about that, because that one of the big selling points from Brie Larson herself is how empowering this is for girls and women, and how there need to be more, which I will agree, there needs to be more diversity in who is saying what. I'm not going to disagree with that.
I think
you
Wonder Woman's a
you
better
get more
example of
opinions from... Don't jump ahead of my script, Jared.
Sorry.
You get more opinions from differing backgrounds, and that's a good thing. I like to hear other people's opinions about stuff, even if I disagree with it. Provided you're not being an a-hole, I want to know where someone else stands on something. Brie Larson was kind of an a-hole, and I think that this movie's empowerment is a crock of shit. Because the only thing that makes Captain Marvel special is she's standing next to an exploding engine. So, let that be a lesson. You don't need to have personality or be cool. You just have to stand next to an exploding engine.
I would disagree with that, but the empowerment part wasn't anything to do with her superhero. The empowering part was who she was before the superhero.
But you never get to know who she was before she was a superhero.
You get to see that she's...
You get to see people tell her, no, you can't, but you don't ever actually get to see her overcome that until the very end where she stands up.
Well, at the end,
But again, you don't know anything about her.
Well, it's at the whole thing at the end where she finally unlocks that potential is every time she got knocked down, she stood back up.
Well, that's great and fine, but I know
there was not enough of that message.
Yes, and I know I'm probably going to be called a horrible, horrible person for this. The drill instructor was right to tell her that, because that's what a drill instructor does. They are there to make sure that those who cannot do military stuff
don't
get in the military, because they'll die. And so it is a DI's job to stand there if you fuck up to tell you, get the fuck out of my camp. You're not worth it, maggot. Everybody else is a horrible shithead. Like, there's nobody else in this universe that is a good male person. It's all neckbeard, fedora-wearing idiots or horribly toxic masculine assholes. There's no medium.
Jesus Christ, was there a lot of toxic masculinity in this movie, too?
Oh my God! Hey, baby, you know why it's called the cockpit, right? It's like, are you insinuating you like dicks in there?
I'm gonna aggressively rev my motorcycle at you, because
Yeah.
that's gonna...
Well, he got his motorcycle stolen.
Oh yeah, it was totally justified for her to steal his motorcycle and his clothes.
No, she took
No,
clothes
she
off
stole
the...
clothes off a mannequin.
So what'd the mannequin do? What'd the store owner do to her? He was leering at her from the back.
Yeah, that's not a good message to women. Yeah, steal motorcycles and biker clothes.
I mean, you can get away with this when it's the Terminator. Because the Terminator's a robot that doesn't give a shit. It's only there to kill people.
Yeah, technically, she's like a space cop. She should not be
Exactly.
stealing.
Lady Space Cop. That's what this movie should have been called. We're renaming it.
Exactly.
Lady Space Cop.
And yet it's perfectly okay for her to steal a motorcycle from a dude who was, yeah, kind of a creeper, but I mean, all you had to do was ignore him.
Also, why was there no care at all to be like, oh yeah, I'm totally not an alien on this planet that we know doesn't have contact with the rest of the universe?
Well, again, that kind of comes into problems with Brie Larson not actually going through a character arc in this. She's just
there.
Yeah, there should have been some sort of protocol that the Kree had for interacting with creatures that don't know about.
Yeah, like we get to comparing to Star Trek again. Like this is something that they would have had as part of their society. If you go to an
Even the Orville has this
Yes.
Even the Orville has this. There are processes for if you go to a intelligent planet that does not know there is other intelligent life. There are steps.
It's called the Prime Directive, good sir, and I will thank you to respect it. It is Protocol 1.
So that would be intrinsically a part of the society.
One would figure, but since we already know the Kree are bad guys, does it really matter?
Well, at that point, you didn't.
But like, I would have liked to have at least seen an attempt at that.
And I want to know.
General Loof don't give a fuck. Like, yeah, I'm an alien.
I just want to know how, like, so quickly you can just go into a Radio Shack and jerry rig a space phone. Because she did that quite fast.
She did.
She's like, I'm going to break into Radio Shack.
I'm guessing they didn't actually have access to a Radio Shack, because I feel like that's a scene they're missing there. Is just to like, oh, what does this do? Yeah, this part of work, like.
Yeah.
Well, it was they skipped to the next day, but he got pointed. She got pointed in the direction.
And did the security guard stay in his car the entire time?
Yes, he fucking did. I mean, what the fuck would you do if a chick was shooting lasers out of her hands?
that TLC VHS?
Oh my god, the music in this was so fucking awful.
I don't know. I kind of liked when they played "Come As You Are" in the little.
No, that was horrible. That was not. I could feel Kurt Cobain sifting through the wind, screaming his ashes. You were just going, no.
Am I also like the only one who thought that if you got reunited with your best friend that you thought was dead for like 6 years, wouldn't you be a little bit more emotional?
Yeah, you figure, but
because this one was like, that's the expression she had. Yeah. I knew you weren't dead. Dude, I would be.
I liked her a lot more than I did.
Like if you died, not like I thought you died, and you show up 6 years later, not knowing who you are with superpowers, I'd like be like, well, that's really fucking cool. But I'd kind of get emotional and hug you at least first, be like, bro, I thought you were dead. It's like you just don't think your best friend's dead for like 6 years, and just give that reaction when you see them again.
Yeah.
It's like, you'd like smack yourself like, am I fucking dreaming? What the fuck?
If it sounds like we're not actually talking about the plot, that's okay, because the movie doesn't actually talk about the plot for the longest time.
She lands on the planet. People come after her.
Hijinks ensue.
End of the movie.
And then
flashbacks throughout. Flashbacks throughout.
Yeah, then she fights the bad.
This was like the weirdest origin movie they've ever done, though, because it was an origin completely told in flashbacks. I feel like I got a season worth of Arrow in one movie.
Yeah, that was an issue with me, because I saw what they were going for, where they parse it out and you learn about her backstory as she learns about it,
which would have been fine if it weren't so easy to
see where it was going.
Yeah,
yeah. The problem is it's horribly transparent as to what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And again, Brie Larson doesn't have a good character, so nobody gives a shit.
The shitty thing is Carol Danvers is such a good character, and she's gone through so many different
Unless you read Avengers number 200, in which case that's like the worst for everybody.
Or Civil War 2.
Oh my god.
Or Civil War 2.
Let's not talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah, let's stick to one shitty comic book rather than...
I mean, but they've also gone through her being, like, Kree, and then there was a phase where they classified her as a mutant so she could hang out with the X-Men, and her power got way out of hand, and...
Yeah.
That's another thing to contemplate. Is
like, why haven't they showed that? Like, that power can get really the fuck out of hand.
What if this movie is the way it is because they're just like, just put some shit out there. We've got all this Fox stuff going on.
Well, that's.
I just want to know.
There's a bit of an issue with that, because on one hand, if this succeeds, then they can say, yes, it's uplifting and it's a powerful movement. This corporate product that was made to sell toys and action figures and box tickets. And it upholds the value of women. And if it fails, they're like, oh, it's because the patriarchal, chauvinistic pigs drug it down and wouldn't let it succeed.
Wonder Woman. That's my argument.
Well, that's kind of the big problem, is Wonder Woman came out and did basically everything that this movie wanted to do, i.e. being a very empowering female story, portraying women as a
meaningful, useful, powerful.
meaningful, stronger, and in most scenarios, way better than just about everything a dude can do. And it did it without being preachy.
even
Here's
Black Widow's parts
a
in
personal story.
the other movies
I
have
have
done that.
Comparing the two. My girlfriend and I watched Wonder Woman in the theater. She's not seen Captain Marvel yet, but she was, at the time, going through a hard time when we watched Wonder Woman, and seeing such a strong, powerful woman kicking ass. It was actually the scene where Wonder Woman jumps over the trenches and started kicking ass. And she broke down and started crying because
that
just meant
fucking awesome scene.
So much to her. And had it been, this movie would not. There's no point in this movie that would elicit that amount of reaction from her.
Right. Well, there's never that turning point for Captain Marvel.
She never gets to be a badass.
Right.
In this movie.
She just
is.
Well, she gets
it's
kind of sort of when she fries the chip.
She flies. She does one little scene where she smack a plane. There's no actual hardcore fight scene in this movie.
Right. It's the definition of the actual definition of a Mary Sue character. They just walk in and accomplish the goal. There's nothing to her. I don't know anything about Captain Marvel. I don't know anything about Carol Danvers. I know she's woman. I know she fight. I know she fly. That is all I know about her.
It didn't give you much more than that.
And this is just on the movie's merits. Versus Wonder Woman, I know who Diana is. I know exactly what she means and what she represents and how much ass she can kick.
And what she stands for.
I think that's how you should hold a movie, like comic book movie anyway, does the movie make you want to go research the character more? Because there are plenty of comic book movies that I'm like, I knew nothing about that character, but now I want to know more. It's like watching this. I already had a background knowledge of Captain Marvel, and
I didn't.
But I watched it, and I'm like, I don't.
That's another thing we need to talk about here.
I wouldn't want to learn more about
I guess
Carol
we wrap
Danvers.
up on is how much the lore.
And I
just
don't.
suits their own purposes.
I don't know. And
way
I don't
fucking
care.
too much lore was changed.
Well, I don't care about that because the movies have basically become their own separate entity at this point. They can do whatever they want.
Suiting to fit their needs if it seems like it's... But it didn't seem like it was going somewhere. Like...
Well, that's kind of one of my big issues. I hate Doctor Strange the movie. I think it's a terrible, boring, awful movie, and I don't recommend anyone sit through it.
The animated one was definitely much better.
Yeah, it is. But,
I mean, if you want some good Carol Danvers, go watch Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Okay.
Like season 2 and 3, where she shows up. Carol Danvers is great, but she's Miss Marvel in that. But she's fucking great.
I don't care if she's called Captain Marvel or Miss Marvel. I don't give a fuck.
Well, they went with the Captain Marvel version because her Miss Marvel costumes were very skimpy.
The one-piece bathing suit? You don't say.
Well, she's gone through like 3 or 4 different costumes.
No, I actually like the outfit they gave her in this. I thought it was good.
It's very in line with you could tell the inspiration that they got from Wonder Woman in this movie because it was feminine without being skimpy in any way, shape, or form.
The costume they use is one from the books, which has been our default for a while now, and I actually really like it. It looks like it's supposed to be a uniform of some kind, and I think it works well. I had zero problems with it. Like, the overall design of this movie, pretty damn good. The fact that we have a superhero with no character.
That's supposed to be what's looking to be, unless we, like I said, we get some new changes from the Fox thing, is looking like it's going to be she's the new one in charge. Because it's my understanding that just about everybody's out, so she's the new head honcho.
Right, well, that's kind of the thing. Chris Evans he's calling quits after this. Like,
Downey Jr.'s out.
Yeah, but he costs like several $1 million
so they're letting him go
for cameo.
Throw a B on that one, buddy. He's billion.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he gets like 50 to 100 billion a movie.
I don't think that much.
No, he gets like $1 billion. Like one of his movies got $1 billion.
That's like a crazy amount. But yeah,
technically, like in 1 year, The Rock made more than he did, but Downey Jr. did less movies. The Rock is like the highest grossing actor in Hollywood.
He's constantly
but Downey Jr. is the highest
the Nicolas Cage thing going where he he doesn't say no to anything.
Pretty much.
It just so far worked for him.
Yeah, sure. Let's say Baywatch worked for him.
Skyfall.
There's nothing that's been a deficit to his career.
James Bond?
No, Skyscraper.
Nothing has been a deficit to his career to this point. There's been nothing to like, oh God, you see that? The Rock's fucking terrible in that. He needs to stop.
Again, I point you to Baywatch. That movie was miserable.
I remember watching that with you.
I hated every minute of it.
That was a review.
I didn't hate it. I didn't hate Miss Captain Marvel as much as I hated Baywatch.
See, like, so for Captain Marvel,
let that be a judgment basis. Baywatch is not as bad as Captain Marvel.
So on your Marvel movie scale, where would this fall?
No, Baywatch is not as good as Captain Marvel. Sorry, I got that wrong.
Bottom 5.
I would probably say this is like easily the lowest tier. It's better than Iron Man 3, but not by much.
What about Civil War? I know how much
Civil War is pretty...
Not Civil War, Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier is my bottom.
He hates Winter Soldier, like, unreasonably
You're
hates
just contrarian, aren't you?
No, I hate that stupid movie. The bad guy is the worst. He's so transparently evil. You know what? I will concede my argument about this if you can tell me and answer me why in universe the bad guy has to kill the maid.
It's been too long since I've watched the movie.
There's a scene
because he's evil.
There's a scene where the bad guy is talking to Winter Soldier,
and the maid walks back in.
And the maid walks back in, and he's like, "Why did you have to come back in, Consuela?" Pow!
He kills the maid,
and it's like, you're already putting a hit out on Captain America. You're talking to the assassin. I think we can tell you're evil.
Not to mention that he's brainwashing Captain America's former best friend.
Yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot of wiggle room for you to say, I was justified in this.
I feel
for
like
me, I would put this probably, it would probably for me go somewhere towards the middle, like definitely above Iron Man 3 and
way above.
Probably above some of the sequels, because there's some sequels I just didn't like.
I would say above Iron Man 2. No, because you can skip Iron Man 2. It does fucking nothing.
At least that one had a bad guy where you could understand why he was doing things.
I just don't understand.
Sometimes understand Mickey Rourke's drunken screamings.
I don't understand why they decided to place Captain Marvel here. Like, why they decided to place the movie at this point. Because that's not a way to show off your trump card. Like, the movie should have just done something different, because this is supposed to be the Thanos trump card. Like, this is what Fury called all the stops out.
I do not feel in the least bit like that she is on any kind of power level with Thanos.
I feel the exact opposite. I feel that they overblow her. I feel that she is way too overpowered.
What does she do in this movie?
I don't think there was a good representation of her fighting something that
all she literally did was stop a missile.
Many missiles. And then flew through spaceships. Multiple spaceships.
She did.
And she never looks winded or tired or anything.
That's something Iron Man could have done easily.
And that's what I was talking about earlier with the Superman problem.
I don't think Iron Man could have done that, because he flew up into space and like passed out in Avengers.
That was Avengers. We're on Avengers like 5 now. He's upgraded his suits.
Who cares?
Just saying, I don't agree with you that she's.
But my point is, you never see her. You don't see her exert herself. You see her be amazingly powerful and blow up spaceships and rockets and all kinds of stuff, and she doesn't even look half out of breath. Which, that would be fine if she had a good character.
See,
she doesn't.
The other thing they didn't really even give any explanation to is they brought back like 3 characters from Guardians of the Galaxy. And
yeah, Ronan the Accuser's back. Jaimin Hunsu is back.
Yeah, and his character doesn't look or act the same at all.
I don't care.
Why didn't Ronan have his little chin things? That also bothered me.
I don't care.
It's just like, why are we, like, I need to understand physical changes.
I don't need to know that. I don't care. He served no purpose. Get him out of the movie.
Exactly. It's like, why were they there?
Fan service.
They it was just pointless.
They are there for fan service. That is the only reason. I hate sounding like Eugene Merman right now.
And honestly, at this point, if Captain Marvel thought that
worst episode of Bob's Burgers ever.
If Captain Marvel thought the Kree were that bad, didn't they have an Infinity Stone? Because I totally would have went and taken it from them. No, wait, that was the Nova Corps. Had the Infinity Stone, not the
And
Kree.
also, why did we get no mention of this character? I don't know. The first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, because she probably would have been around.
Oh, hell with
She
that.
would have been definitely...
affected the plotline of that in some way.
Oh, hell with that.
I think she would
Why is Captain America called the first Avenger?
I think she would...
Because he's not now!
No, he still predates her.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he wasn't part of the Avengers Initiative. Carol Danvers started that.
I think she should have been mentioned at some point in the because she would either be like an intergalactic hero or she would be a very wanted intergalactic.
Jared, do you really want to know why they didn't mention her?
Because they
haven't
didn't
thought
plan.
that far.
Exactly.
They didn't plan on.
They didn't figure this multi-billion-dollar franchise.
But
would still be
according
printing
to
the
them,
money.
they have the next 30 years planned now.
Oh, bullshit.
That's another thing we need to talk about here.
They have
Is
what
that
they
they missed
want
opportunity with the Skrulls. They are breadcrumbing in no way, shape, or form because damn near, other than Loki, damn near every Marvel movie we get, the bad guy dies.
Yeah.
So there's no...
I thought they couldn't even use the Skrulls because of the Fox thing. I thought they were very closely tied to the Fantastic Four. But apparently not. But I thought I read that somewhere that they couldn't use Skrulls, but apparently they can.
I think they could use them, they just couldn't do Secret Invasion.
I mean, yeah, that also, like, their portrayal of the Skrulls in this completely fucks out any plans for, like, a Secret Invasion.
Well, that was what I made mention of earlier, where it would have been interesting if, like, the Skrulls were also bad guys along with the Kree. Because then you could have, like, bad guy versus bad guy, and Captain Marvel say, fuck both of you, get off my planet!
Or, just... It doesn't have to be this, boss fight of big bad to big bad. We can have smaller villains, like people like the Skrulls, that can do things in the background, or they get away and then they come back later.
No,
but when you kill everybody every time, it has to be this increasing scale. Like, if we kill Thanos in the next one, who's this next?
That's the gold people from Guardians 2.
God tier, Brock Lesnar.
I don't know, man. I don't know. All I know is that this movie it disappointed me. All I asked was for you to be as good as Wonder Woman, and yet now I'm saying Marvel.
Next one.
Learn from DC.
So I have a theory. They're going to snap everybody, for Endgame, they're going to snap everybody back into existence, and mutants are going to come into the fold. And then that's how we're going to get our next big bag.
Here's a fun thing to end on, because I agree with you that we're going to be dealing with alternate realities is the only way I can see the Fox merger going in. So, in the situation that we get that...
You mean like multiverses?
Yes. And that's where we're going to introduce... They could even still, like, the X-Men Blue plotline to where, like, that's alternate reality, but these characters that are the younger group that we've got in the current X-Men movies, bam, they're in this reality now. With that, we also are eventually going to be getting a new Wolverine at some point. I know everybody would like to see X-23 again.
I hope he's Australian like he was in Dawn of the X-Men. That would be great.
But if we don't, what is your current Hollywood celebrity dream cast for the new Wolverine?
I don't fucking care.
There's nobody that you
Danny
want.
DeVito, that's who I want.
You don't have anybody that you want.
I want Danny DeVito. I want Danny DeVito to be Wolverine. That would be amazing.
I think
he's just basically an immortal version of Frank Reynolds from It's Always Sunny.
I really don't think you can have a Wolverine that's not Hugh Jackman.
That's such a
Bob Hoskins was originally going to be it. Fuck you, they can't.
I
don't know. I heard a lot of people say like Tom Hardy and
Tom Hardy's got a goofy ass voice.
He's also Venom.
Unless they have someone else play his voice, played by Tom Hardy, voiced by.
And as we know, Tom Hardy and Venom are both kind of losers.
Hello, Kitty.
You know, he's already playing Rocket, but looks-wise, I feel like Bradley Cooper could pull it off.
Yeah.
I think he did get in that shape.
Yeah, if he stops slumming it with Lady Gaga and that Oscar winner.
Oh, can we not talk about that movie that's like a 6-time remake?
First of all, it's 4th, good sir, and there's actually a lot of good things about that movie. But that's a discussion for another day. There's our thoughts on Captain Marvel. My throat is about to kill itself. Anybody else have anything they want to say? This is literally the only way I can talk, and it doesn't hurt.
Well, if you
Maybe
if you're on the fence with this one, just wait literally like a month and go see the next one.
There you go. Wait till June.
Save that money.
Go see.
Basically, the whole point of this movie was to get to the end credit scene where it showed her showing up in Avengers Mansion.
So if you really want to see this, I guess just go see something else and hop in at the last
Just
season.
YouTube the end credit scene. Somebody's already put it up. YouTube the end credit scenes. There's a cat that pukes up the Tesseract, and
it's a flurgan, sir. I will thank you to respect the comic book heritage.
I want this cat to take your eye out for the perfect end.
Yep. Get him, kitty.
Jared, punch it or something, get a reaction.
Yeah.
Might be the only way you get a reaction to this thing. We'll see you next time, everybody.
Later.
Bye.